TomGirl. It is episode 12. We are here with Riley Smith, and we're going to talk about his spanking new album. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Everything, right?
I'm going to play a little your music right here.
Ooh, I haven't heard this song in a while. No idea.
I was like waiting for it. There we go. Yes, will you?
Benefit of the doubt. See, I didn't bring my guitar, so I could fake it.
Awesome.
This morning, I took the easy way out.
I'll sit there and make you sing all day. Hey guys, this is my guest, Riley Smith. Riley, welcome.
Hi, everyone, wherever you are.
So you can look at this one, and then you'll get a two-shot over here.
All right.
Where can everybody follow you at on Twitter or social media?
I'm terrible at social media, but I'm at Riley Smith on Twitter, and I'm at Riley Smith Official on Instagram.
All right.
I guess there was another Riley Smith on Instagram or something. Somebody help me do all that, but I do it all myself now, which is part of the problem. Everyone keeps telling me, you got to do more, and I'm like, I do all I have time to do.
Well, at least they know they're getting genuine you, right?
Yeah, which is probably boring comparatively, but
nah.
You know, I'm trying to create. It's hard to create and tweet all the time, you know?
Yeah, it's overwhelming to keep up with all that stuff, isn't it?
I have friends who, and I love them, but like they're on shows, and their Instagram all day is just like pictures and on set. And I'm like, how do you ever get in character, connect to a character when half the time you're out of character taking pictures? So I'm old school though, you know? Like I have to focus on, I can't multitask.
No, I mean, you're in the present. You're there, you know? Yeah. All right, well, there's all kinds of things we have to talk about with you because you're an actor. Yeah, we got some drinking to do.
Too, yeah. For all of you out there, JJ was so sweet to give me a Jack Daniels. I don't know how she knows me so well, but anybody watching that knows me knows that this is one of my favorites. So we'll take a shot later for that. But yes, we have a lot to get to.
Yes, we
including
do.
That.
Yes. Well, it's a celebration for the album, and also I was telling him, you know, the girls that come in, I have little TomGirl swag and T-shirts, but I got to work on something for the guys. So I got to get some pint glasses. But for now, I think everybody seems to be pretty happy with the alcohol.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't.
And by the way, I thought I was the only one. Just tell me I was the only one.
I'm sorry.
Just tell me.
Yes.
You're the only one.
You're
Thank
the
you.
only one. Nobody else.
I feel so much better about myself now.
Oh, I feel so bad. All right. Okay, so let's talk about this album. All right. So we're going to play a little bit of the video for I'm on Fire. It's amazing. So we want to talk about, here we have it.
Butt. More butt. And then more butt.
And some more drinking.
And butts, and then more butt.
All right, so where did you shoot this? What was the process like?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So I shot this all over Los Angeles. I had a friend, Bjorn Kummerall, who is one of my oldest friends in LA. He shot my first headshots here, and he's the best headshot photographer in LA, but he does so much more. And I told him, I said, you'd make an amazing music video director. His style, his lighting, everything. And he was like, oh, I don't do that. And I was like, all you have to do is hit record instead of snap. It's the same thing. And I can help you. And so I kept trying to talk him into it over the years. And then when I had this first single that I knew I was going to put out, I said, this is Bjorn, this is the time, this is it, we have to do it. And I wrote a treatment that was so detailed. I spent weeks writing this treatment about these characters and this situation. And Bjorn, I could tell, was kind of dragging his feet. And then finally he said, listen, you're very ambitious, and this is my first time. Let's do something that we both know. Like, he goes, how about if this guy is a photographer? Which is Bjorn. Okay, all right, cool. And I'll be a singer. But we came to, it was a long process, and we talked a lot. But we came to a great compromise, and I went back with his ideas of what he said he could do, and I appreciate his honesty about what his parameters he thought would be. So I took those and went back, and I came up with this concept, which is a little bit of a hybrid of what I had. And
what was what you had?
What I had was same thing. Guy starts in a bar, walks out of the bar into what is the desert. So this bar sits in the middle of nowhere, and he's walking down the desert thinking about this girl. And then all of a sudden, the girl pulls up and picks him up on the side of the road when he's hitchhiking, and they end up having a talk on the road, and then stopping at a campfire and having, he's playing on the campfire, she's dancing for him. They fall in love, they make out, and then he wakes up the next morning and she's gone. And it was all a figment of his imagination. So we kind of blurred it all together, but it was great. We shot it in. Good friend of mine, Tim Ridley, has this bar here in town that he loaned out to me. We had to shoot from in the bar from 6 a.m. until noon, because then that's when it opened. And I had all my friends were so great about coming out, helping, lending a hand. I mean, people, my band was joking. They're like, you have like models moving like grip stands and stuff. I was like, my friends just came out to help. It was great. And they were not. And then I hired two good friends of mine to be the leads of the show. I think of it as a movie. I really do. When I made it to be like a movie.
Well, it looks like a mini little short movie.
Yeah. So I take it and that's my background. So I really wanted to create like something like that, and I helped Bjorn set it all up. But we shot downtown LA, Malibu at the beach. I think we shot in the mountains. We shot at his photo loft. We shot everywhere. Shot at my house a little bit, and it was everywhere.
What was the bar for those LA folks that might want to check it out?
It's called the Rec Room, and it's not far from here.
Gosh, I go to that bar all the time.
Yeah, I should have given him props.
Awesome.
He gave it to me for free. He charges a lot for shows to shoot there, so I should give him credit. It's called the Rec Room. It's on Riverside and Colfax. I think not Colfax, something like that.
It's a Whitsett and Riverside.
Thank you. Right by Valsurf.
Great place to watch. Yep, great place to watch like UFC fights.
Yeah,
I watch my Husker games there.
Yeah. So let me know next time, because I'll get you some free drinks.
All righty.
I'm just giving them out. I don't even know in the bar. But no, yeah, Tim. So and that's what it takes. Like when you're doing this like independently as a labor of love, everyone has to come together. But I've been here 19 years and I've never really made much for myself. I'm always working for someone else, and so I knew I had a lot of favors that I could call, and everyone stepped up, and we made it for. I mean, it looks to me like a really big budget, and we made it for a reasonable budget, and then it took on a life of its own after that. How
was that for you? Like having more of your baby versus somebody else's projects.
Good question too. This whole experience making an EP and putting it out there has been really just a range of every emotion, because before, when I was in a band, I could kind of hide into the band. I have a problem personally being out there. I like to do my work, and I really do appreciate communicating with everyone when I do, but I'm kind of still a little bit more of a reserved person in that regard. But so with the solo thing, I couldn't hide behind anything. It was my lyrics, only me. And then I had to make all the decisions. I have a great manager now that's been helping me, but I don't have a label, and so I had to sign off on like the font on the album CD cover, or the picture that we want to use for every interview or whatever. Like just every little thing I have to sign off on, and I'm bad with decisions because I overthink everything, and I'm like, maybe no, that font. And I'm like, it doesn't matter, it's font. Just yes, okay, cool. And the hardest part was with the music, like. My producer's in Nashville. We made it in Nashville, but now I'm back in LA. So while we were going, he would send me different productions and send it to me, and then I'd listen to it over and over again and make notes. Change this hi-hat and add in some harmonies here, and then he'd do that, and then he'd send it back to me. And we would just do that. And that you're talking 6 songs back and forth all day, every day. So between that and doing the business stuff, I was just all day in my office dealing with music. I was like, this is really a business. I didn't I like music. I didn't know I had to.
Thought I'd just be singing.
Business. Yeah. So it's been a lot of work, and it's been I've had a hard time. Like even when I did the photo shoot for the album cover, which my friend Bjorn, who directed the video, also shot that. Because I have a friend who's a photographer. I was like, I'm not going to pay for it. Right. But even then, I was like, what do I wear? Because who am I? I know myself as Riley the actor, and then I get to disappear into characters. But with this, it's me. What am I putting out there? Who am I trying to be? And then I'm looking at all my not very many clothes in my closet because I'm a pretty simple person. But and then I was like, F it, I'm just gonna be me. Like that's who I have to put out there, and me is usually a denim button, a pearl snap shirt, and some boots, Red Wing boots, shall I say? Always Red Wings, and Levi's. Honestly, that's all I wear. So I was like, well, just quit trying to put on jewelry or hat. Like, by the way, I bought this hat for something with music, and then I was like, dude, you don't have to just be you. And now I just wear the hat for, to drive
The
around.
hat looks good, though.
Thank you. It didn't work with the headphones.
Yeah, these are tough.
I hadn't fit the hat in anywhere. I thought I'll fit it into the TomGirl interview, and then I couldn't. This hat is destined to not be a star.
Oh, well, it looks good next to the Jack Daniels, so it's looking all right.
Yeah. We get the Ray-Bans and the Jack Daniels. This is a nice hat. If all three of these will send me more things, I'd be happy.
Sweet. But I think you're nailing it, though. I mean, that's what people love you, and they want to see you and more of you. So I think just being your authentic self is doing quite well for you.
Trying.
Yeah. So how was the decision that you were going to not do this project with the band, and that you were ready to go out on your own and do your own?
It was never a thing where I wanted to ever not be in the band. Like, the band is still playing for me. It was more that I'd always known that I wanted to do something. With a band dynamic, when we write songs, we write together, we share ideas, and that's a part of being a band. And that's what I loved about being in a band for all those years. And I still will love making music with those guys in another capacity. But I was ready to have more reins and contribute more. And when I went to Nashville to do the show, I just went through I keep calling it like a music boot camp, because I got there. And I'm literally, the first morning, after I flew there that night, the first morning I was in the studio recording my first song, which was a duet with Connie Britton. And they're you cut those songs in an hour. You're in and out of there in 1 hour. So you got to know the music, get in there, hit it. You'd only get a few passes. And in Nashville, what I don't do in LA, what they do down there is you sing the whole song straight through. And then they'll try to find the best parts. But out here, a lot of times when I'd record, I'd just do like verse by verse, chorus by chorus. And so I just learned I was thrown into a whole new world of the way they work, and it is the right way. I'm sure it's the professional way, but I just had to learn a lot that I didn't know. And then I started writing with all these guys and that were great writers, and we were writing for the show because they always encouraged us to pitch songs to the show. And so we were writing, then we'd demo the songs so we could send them to them. And by the time I got done with like the 7-8 month stint I was there, I had 14 demos, and I was like, I got to do something with these. I love them, and we didn't end up putting them on the show, so maybe I should make a record. And the whole time I've been waiting for this moment, then all of a sudden it was just hitting me in the face, like, oh, this is it. Like, here you are. So when I got down in Nashville, I kind of thought I would have that opportunity, and then it turned out to be way better than I even thought. And so I just kept pursuing it and kept going through the doors it kept opening, and it's been incredible. I learned a lot. I grew up a lot. I have a long ways to go, but I felt like the last year and a half, 2 years, I've grown as much as I grew in like 14 years of playing. So it was that experience was amazing, and I wouldn't have the album without the Nashville.
Yeah. Well, you were amazing on the show. We had you in here for that one because we covered Nashville. I think we also have a clip of you playing on Nashville ready to show some people in case they missed it. He'll hold up. James is the engineer there, by the way. And James, there you go. I like him to contribute and ask questions. He always has good ones too. So we'll play a little bit of this.
There's a great story about this song too. I'd love to share.
Yeah, I want to hear it. Maybe.
I'll go ahead and get this ready.
Go for it. It looks like it might not play.
AfterBuzz sent a limo for me, so I don't have to drive home.
Exactly. We do car service here.
Have this.
Amazing. There we go. Yeah. I guess it's not. Well, we hear it.
But.
Yeah, more but. Okay, sorry, we're having a little technical difficulty. Okay, you guys can see it. We can. Okay, so. So this is one you had some great like intimate studio songs with Raina in the show, and then this one was the biggest like kind of crowd one. So did that really give you the like kind of that fever for like, oh my gosh, this is pretty cool?
Like art imitating life and the way it all kind of unfolded. She's actually a friend of mine too in real life, and then she came in the last episode I was leaving, and we had that one scene together. But yeah, the art imitating life part of the character and I was when I went down to Nashville to start the show, I was a little apprehensive at first. I was excited, but I was nervous. I knew I was going to get thrown into a bunch of situations that I wasn't sure if I was ready for. But I got myself that far. I thought, you're going to figure it out. And then they're so great about helping you, along the way. They have like, coaches and just the way they shepherd the whole thing is, they made me look so good. But when I got there, I was just dipping my toe in the water and nervous, kind of like the character was. And Marcus on the show, the way he handled insecurity was obviously lashing out and being a
troublemaker a little bit.
Yeah, a jerk, a rock star, prima donna. Now, that was all because of insecurities, and that's what I've found and played as the actor. That's just the way he reacted. But for me, I was also insecure and nervous and felt like a fish out of water. I just don't react like that in real life. So, but as the character got more comfortable and then started to fall into that life and that music, then that was kind of the crescendo of that. The final hurrah was this big show, and he was finally in his element. And so this has kind of now gotten to that point with me as I slowly got, and as the character, I keep pointing up there. It's because where we watched it. I'm sorry, I won't point up there anymore. But as the character got more comfortable, I got more comfortable. And that last scene I was very comfortable and super sad that I had to leave. I didn't want to, but I had the opportunity to move on to eventually getting my own show, so I had to follow that path. But yeah, it was I kind of went through the same range of emotions, just handled it a little bit differently.
What did you do to push through those insecurities and
Well, for me, I'm always very open and honest. And I'm a big self-deprecator, so I always will. If I'm in these situations, I just ask. I talk, I tell, I communicate. And let people know that I have questions. I feel uncomfortable. I need to figure out what's going on. And I worked really hard. I would go home, and I feel bad for anybody who is staying next to me in the apartments that I stayed at, because I was always singing nonstop, practicing the songs, and recording them, listening back, practicing. I would go home, and after hours until the wee hours in the morning, I would just sit and play, so that the next day I was ready. Sometimes to a point where I barely had a voice when I finally went in to record. But it's so all that. Asking, that's the only way you can gain knowledge, and practicing is the only way you can get better. And so I just try to do all that kind of stuff. I drank a little bit.
That always brings inspiration, right? Songwriting. So when you were shooting in Vancouver, I read that you also had put in a little mini studio there to work on your music as well.
I have a little home studio here in LA that basically my office has, and it was great. I actually, when I did Nashville, I had a hookup through a publishing company where they got me a deal at Guitar Center for a pro deal. So you get, I don't even know what it is, 20-30% off. And so I thought, well, hey, I'm making money. I have the show. I want to invest in my future and my art. So while I have this deal, let's get everything I need. So I went to the pro in Nashville, and I was like, give me everything I need for a home studio. And he started pointing stuff out, the speakers and the preamps and the compressors and the mics and the mic popper stand things and all this stuff, and MIDI keyboards. And so I got it all. And then had it shipped to LA, made a little home studio, because I'm always in my studio making music. So I thought, invest in that. That's where you spend all your time. It's like a bed. You don't want to skimp out on a bed. And so when I moved to Vancouver, I had to move everything. I was living up there for 8 months, so I packed up my Jeep, and that was the first box that I packed up, because that is my sanity when I'm not working, is making music. And I had this beautiful 25-story high-rise overlooking the whole city with my stuff facing, it was just looking over the city, and I had a 180-degree view. And unfortunately, I worked 70 hours a week on that show and never made music. I think I made 2 half songs that weren't even good, and they weren't even for me. They were just I was so inundated with the emotional place I was in with the character, and I'm kind of a character actor in a way, I would say. I try to stay in somewhat of the character, and so between that weighing on me and working that many hours, and then I'd come home and I had to learn 8 more pages of dialogue the next day. So my repetition up there was come home from work at whatever, midnight, study for 2 hours, and with a little help from this and the pages, wake up and go to work, do it again. And so by the time the weekend came, I'd watch football on Saturdays and maybe watch football on Sundays, and I tried. At the last end of my month in frequency, it was at Christmas time, and I had promised my dad that I would play around the fire in Texas where he lives one night, and so I didn't know cover songs. I just never played cover songs. And I thought, you know what, he's not going to want to sit and listen to all my songs, so I'll learn some covers from my dad. So I learned like 15 cover songs, and that was all I would practice the last month I was there. Well, there's a lot of them. My favorite one is Garth Brooks, Much Too Old to Feel This Damn, or Much Too Young to Feel This Damn Old. And that was, So, but I like Chris Stapleton's What Are You Listening To? Those are my two go-tos. I love those two.
Good calls.
Yeah.
But for frequency, though, that was your first like leading role TV series. So I mean, it's understandable that you were a little focused on that job at the time.
Yeah,
right?
that took everything. So the music, I made the music in Nashville while I was there, and then I went and got frequency and had to go to Canada for 8 months. So the music kind of just sat on the shelf in Nashville for 8 months. And I thought, I'm going to get around to it, but I don't want to half focus. I don't want to just patch it together to put it out. Like, I've waited this long. I've done it right. It's going to be there when I get done. And what was even better about it was when we got done in January with the show, they had us on hold until almost June under contract with Warner Brothers because they were under the assumption we were coming back. And so we couldn't work. So it was like God's plan that it worked out perfect that I had that time. I've never had 5 months. I've never had 5 weeks off. So without that time, I wouldn't have been able to make this music. And so even though the show didn't go, it's another thing that I thought, hey, I got the EP out of Nashville and I got it made out of frequency because I had that time. And so I went back to Nashville and I spent the last 5 months doing that.
Talk about, we're going to play some of the songs too, so because I want to dive into the album a little bit more. Talk about kind of the themes of this album. I read a lot of it was about kind of being alone.
Yeah. I've been trying to explain it to everybody because people are like, what is loner music? When they ask, like, how do you want to explain it? I said loner music, and everybody's like, what is that? Well, the thing is, for me, I travel for work, and I have been for 19 years for acting. I travel all over the world, and usually for 4 weeks at the minimum to 4 months, 8 months, and you sacrifice a family life. You really do. I've lost relationships because of it, and I've lost a lot because of it. But it's what I do, and so it's just tough, and a lot of it was my age and where I was in my life then, but you can only go sit at a bar so many nights before you just feel like an alcoholic. I can only become best friends with so many bartenders. So then you got to try to fill time with other things, and so music was always my retreat. I could do that anywhere at any time, and it took up a lot of my time. And so there were, for most of my adult life, just playing music by myself on the road. And so, I'm alone. And so that's what I write about. That's what I sing about. When I would go into those co-writes, I would come in with ideas that I already had written down in my phone for years, some of them. And some of them would be just like, one little line. And so I'd go into the co-writes and I'd pass these around like, hey, what do you guys think about Mad Love? And the idea behind that is this. Or what do you think about Selfish? Because for Selfish, in there I had the line was, someday Selfish is going to get old. And so
he's got it. It's cute, yeah.
And I remember when and how I put that in there. And so I went in this co-write and I was like, guys, here's the idea. I gotta write this. And so that's how you, but it was always being alone. Every song was kind of like that. But again, you got to be who you are. You got to write what you know and what you feel. I'm not trying to make anything contrived, and hopefully people will respond to that.
No, I think it's great, and I think that's one thing people forget. Like when they look at actors and they look and think, oh, they have it so good. You're on this, you've had 70 plus jobs, and you know, most people would die for. But there is a sacrifice and a trade-off, you know, with that. Like you were talking about the family life, and that it can be lonely, and it's also not a 9-to-5 job where you have to just go in, do your work, and you can go. Like it takes a lot to be vulnerable and be in those characters and put yourself, be open and go through that. Yeah.
You kind of got to stay in it a little bit, whatever you're doing. You can't get too broken. Yeah, and so you, and it, you know, too, like it's funny as I've gotten older and been doing this longer, now I'm at the place where people will recognize me from other things I've done. And so I'm the guy sitting at this like restaurant bar, you know, by myself, and people will start to have conversation and then be like, wait. And, you know, it's the funniest thing. But then everyone's like, why are you alone? You know, nobody understands why I'm alone. It's like, because I'm in Toronto and I don't know anybody on my show yet. And, you know, you know. Or like, you know, a lot of times if you go in, I'll do like for instance, Toronto was one of them. I went and did Beauty and the Beast for a month or so. And all the kids on the show up there had lives. Like, from what I could gather, a lot of them kind of had kids and families and things. And so they all kind of did their own thing. And when reoccurring characters come into town, unless you previously know them, they don't normally jump at like, hey, come out with us, you know? So you're just kind of by yourself unless you know people there. And so that was just one example. But that was one of the things when I did Frequency, if we ever did anytime go out for a drink after work, or if we had time to, or go to dinner on the weekend, I always called production, got a hold of the guest star reoccurrings that were in town, got their numbers, and personally invited them out. And every single one of them would mention that to me, like, dude, thank you so much. That meant a lot, because otherwise they're sitting in their room alone. And that was one of the things I thought, you know, look, for kind of a grinded out guy who's been doing this for 19 years, if there's one thing that I've learned, like, hey, if I ever become a lead, I'm going to do this for you know, those people that were me. So I did it. We had fun. We had drinks.
That's the good Iowa, and you're staying in there, right? Yeah. So on the album, so we have I'm on Fire, I Can't Keep Missing You, Break Something, Mad Love, Selfish, and Change of Season, right? All right. Is there one that is your, I mean, it's tough to pick your baby, but is there one that's your favorite?
Well, let me explain them really quickly. Each
go
one,
for it.
because they're like your children. So maybe with your kids, you'd say like, oh, he's really quick and witty, and she's a little athlete, and you know what I mean? So I love them all, and I'll tell you a little bit of why each one. Just tell me the name, and I'll tell you why.
I'm on Fire.
I'm on Fire. I love because it represents who I am now, like what I've evolved to be, and what kind of artist I want to say that's me. You know.
Okay. I Can't Keep Missing You.
I Can't Keep Missing You is one of my favorites because it finally is the mold and the hybrid and the vision I had of trying to bring everything about me together, California and the country. And I call it California country. You know, it's like, it makes you want to drive down the PCH with your top down, but you know, it's singing about being in the South. And to me, it may be, no, I can never compare it to George Strait, but one of the things I loved that George Strait did was when he did Marina Del Rey. And he's on a plane back to Tennessee. My mind drifts away to this memory, and he would, had this rendezvous with a girl in Marina Del Rey, and then had to go back to Tennessee. By the way, did not have that in my mind when I wrote this, but I kind of figured out the comparison later.
All right. Break Something.
Break Something, I gotta say, is just like that raw, like, just that raw, like, like, to me, it's just gritty and raw. You know, it's just raw. It's about, it's about a couple just like as soon as the door closes behind them,
it's
over. They've been waiting until that door closes, and nobody cares about getting hurt. You know?
Awesome. All right, Mad Love.
Mad Love is the very first song I wrote with the production team that produced my album, and I never will forget that is my first baby, you know.
I love that one.
Yeah, it was the first one. And I'll never forget sending it to my mom when I was driving home, and she started bawling. She's like, "That's it, that's your single." And then when I didn't use it as my single, she got mad, and I was like, "No, I'll explain why." But Mad Love is the co-writer I wrote it with was going through a breakup, and he started talking it out. It was a bad one, and they've been together for a long time, and the more we started talking it out, I was like, well, I've been there. Do you feel like this? Have you ever felt like that? Right now, do you want to feel like this? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, all right. And we all equally contributed, but there was a lot of little things that I came up with, which is this part coming up right here, where it's like the in and out. Da 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 So you got the da 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 dun dun dun. I'll never forget coming up with that. And we wrote that in one night. We recorded a rough demo in one night. I stayed up till like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning doing it. But that was the OG baby, and it's a relationship that everybody's been in, just mad, bad, and sad.
Yep, everyone can relate to it. Okay, selfish.
Selfish is, I almost hesitate to say it's my favorite, and the only reason is because it's the most honest. It really is. It's just I get emotional talking about it because well, it's what we're talking about with being lonely and being on the road, and just like being away from everything. And it's like, is it worth it? Is it worth all of it? Like, I understand that I'm selfish, and I think that the honesty of being self-aware and understanding it and admitting it hopefully makes me less selfish. I really try not to be. And I really pride myself on not being selfish, but I understand that if you're passionate and you're dedicated and you're trying to get somewhere, you are going to let people down. And you're going to hurt people, but I don't intentionally mean to. I've let people down in my life because I can't be there. And so that's what that's about. It's just that.
Change of season.
And Change the Season was one of the last songs we wrote, and it came the very second to last day I was in Nashville. And I said, I want to write a song that encompasses my time here. And now, I don't smoke anymore, but at that particular moment, I was out on a balcony in my producer's place having a cigarette, and I looked at the trees, and they were falling off. They had been red, and now they were like brown, and they were starting to fall. And it was December, I think. And I remember when I'd moved there in June or whatever, it was green and luscious and beautiful. And I was just like, I said the line, I said, the leaves have changed, they're always prettier before they go away. And that started it. And then we just decided, like, let's not try to do anything in the box. Let's do something outside of the box with this song. Make it a little bit more maybe electro. It's kind of got that in it, but it still has this like country guitar. And we just want to try to like push the boundaries and find something that might not be in that box.
Yeah, no, I think there's a great range in all the different songs.
Yeah, thank you. And I tried, I guess I'll be leaving is the last song of the EP, like peace out, But the thing about that song too is it was kind of written at Nashville, at the show Nashville, because I had gotten an opportunity to go do another show for Fox, and we sort of went to Nashville and said, hey, if you can keep Riley, he'd rather stay here. And at the time, they just didn't, I don't know if it was financial, if they didn't have the money or they didn't have the storyline. I don't know what it was, but they kind of were like, it was like that relationship where they were like, no, we love him and we want him to come back, but we can't commit to what you guys want us to commit to and what he has on the table. Understandable, because the other one was a lead role. But so then I kind of had to leave and I didn't want to. And champagne problems because I was leaving for another show.
Right.
But my heart was really there, and so that was that whole song. Like, if I guess I'll be leaving. You didn't give me a reason, so I guess I'll be leaving.
Well, maybe. Do you think you'd ever go back? Deacon could use some help there now that Raina's gone.
If they would have me, I'd love to go back. I just love the town. I love the show. I know it's a whole new production team and.
It's great now too, though. It's even gotten because CMT has it. There's so much. The music is so incredible, and each show kind of has like a music video in it. Like the quality of the music. And it's darker. Yeah, I
love that. Yeah. Sometimes with ABC, it stayed a little surface, and they're digging into cool stuff here, which is great, and it pushes the actors get more meat, which is really awesome. So, Marcus towards the end got a little annoying to play. It's like I was trying every way to justify his actions, and there was just they didn't even want a justification. For me as an actor, I like to have. I can't just play a jerk to play a jerk or a rock star, a surface rock star. Like, let's get underneath that and why. So at the end, it got a little bit frustrating, especially when we started to see the fans' reactions. Like they love to hate him, and I should have embraced that more. But I, so if I went back, I wouldn't want to do that again. Now that I might have a little more of a choice in the matter. But
Well, they loved you at the beginning because you started out as actually kind of being a good kind of rival for Deacon. Like people were like, "Oh, we kind of like this this new guy."
Yeah, and then they had to take him out. You know, they had to get rid of him. It was you can't go. And I knew the minute I realized I didn't know enough about the show at first, and then when I was like, "Oh, I'm going against the man," like it's over.
Oh boy. Okay, it's going so fast. All right, we only have.
What do we have left?
We have about 15 minutes
well,
left.
and I got 1 minute to take a shot.
Yes, you do.
To any, I'll go to that camera. For everyone that's listening right now, I really appreciate you even taking the time. I know you have many people that you could listen to, and I appreciate you watching us here today. So cheers to y'all.
Cheers. Yay. Woo. All right, we're gonna jump and talk a little bit about. I want to talk a little bit about Iowa and your and growing up and your
and how they're better at football than Nebraska.
No, I can't even say anything right now.
JJ and I have a deep love for our teams, our home states, and they are rivals. They border each other, and we love to rub each other about it.
I lived actually like my house is on a lake, and the Platte River was here, and Iowa's right
on the other side.
Yeah, right on the other side.
You sneak over and go to the riverboats.
We used to in high school. We used to actually cruise their main street, and then we would get in trouble because our friends would hate it.
No Nebraska people over here.
Yeah, but my best friend had a farm over there too, so we used to ride ATVs, and it was amazing.
I thought of you because Counting Crows played last night at the Forum, and they have that song called Omaha.
Yep.
Omaha.
I love that song.
Yeah, and it was like it was them in Matchbox 20. It was like a trip down 90s lane. You know, I felt like I was in high school again.
I love that stuff. All right, so I think we have a picture of one time you put on Instagram flying over Iowa, the farmland. I don't know if he has it up. But do you get that a lot from people where they say, "Oh, I've flown over Iowa," or "I've never been there, but
flyover state"? But you know what? I mean, the Midwest is getting mightier and mightier every day. I was doing another talk show earlier today, and I met a girl from Iowa, and like the people always are coming up to me being like, "I'm from Iowa," so you know, I mean. We have good representations. Who's Nebraska? What's Nebraska you got?
Johnny Carson.
Do they? Okay. I like Johnny.
Yeah.
See, Iowa's
CSI,
where it's at.
Marg.
CSI Marg?
Marg.
Marge Helgenberg.
Yeah.
She's with my manager.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, I think it's already safe to say Iowa has produced. No, we can't.
When you go back to Iowa, what do you like to do? You have spots?
I sit with my family. People always think it's funny, but I rarely call and tell anybody I'm going home. If you notice, I always post a picture when I'm leaving. Because if I say I'm going, then, you know, there's a lot of people I want to see, but really most importantly is my core family, my mom, my sister, her husband, and their little kids, and my extended cousins there that they all live right where we grew up, and they didn't go too far, and we're like a mighty big family. Like when we go, we'll just like order in because it's like 20 of us and it's hard to get us out. If we go, it's just a herd of cattle, 20 of us going into a restaurant trying to get a table. And so usually we'll just order in, but yeah, I stay home and I just sit with my family. I don't go anywhere. There's nothing I want. I love Iowa. And I grew up there, but there's nothing in Cedar Rapids that I need to go do. You know, it's like there's nothing there that I'm not going to get anywhere else. So I'm just going to spend my time with my folks. But the only thing I want to do is shout out to Nelson's Meat Market. I have to go get my turkey sub like I used to in high school from Nellie's Deli, and then you know Dairy Queen probably once because we don't have Dairy Queen here.
Oh, I know. Butterfinger Blizzard with chocolate ice cream every time.
I like that, and I'll throw in maybe some
I have a
cookie
Dairy
dough.
Queen by my house
You do?
Where?
Here?
in Valencia area.
Valencia, okay. Again, if we, you know, it's a drive. Is my point. You know, I think there's one at the Burbank Mall. Maybe.
There used to be one actually right on Lankershim and Magnolia.
Yep.
But they got rid of it.
Oh yeah, and there was a Cold Stones Creamery up on Lankershim. I would go second for that, you know, but then luckily that moved away. I didn't need that.
All right, but I think was it kind of your place to reset and like you've maintained a lot of those values and those good break from here.
Yeah, your family just keeps you, you know, like your family keeps you down to earth, and my family's been so supportive. They've just been behind me every step of the way, and so that just centers you, you know.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes you go back there and I actually get motivated when I go sit there for a few days. I find myself getting antsy and getting motivated. Like, okay, like it reminds you of where you came from, and then it reminds you like why you need to get back to doing what you're doing. You know, it's a great thing to know that you have a place in the world, and that you. Like for me, I'll be back there and I'm like, I love it here. I love everyone I'm with, but I realize what I'm here to do. And so every time I go back from Iowa, I'm so motivated. And I seem to always get a lot accomplished right away. So then that's why I try to get back more, because I keep that ball rolling.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I mean, here's a funny story. My family, I had gotten a car back in Iowa years ago, and this is like 10 years into living in LA, and I got the car in Iowa, and I was driving it back to LA, and I was leaving right after Christmas, and it was like 4 in the morning because I wanted to get a jump on the drive, and my mom and my sister, then everybody comes out to wave goodbye, and it's like snowing, and it's still dark out, and I roll my window down, and I go, I'm going to Hollywood. I'm going to make it. You know, and by the way, I ended up having one of the best years in my life in my career after that year. It was like things just started to really click at that moment. But that was special because, I mean, here I've been doing it for 10 years, but I took a stab at the, first time.
Put it out there.
Because I never drove. The first time I moved to LA, I didn't drive there. I moved there. I moved on a plane with like 2 backpacks and then bought my first car in LA. So I'd never made the official like, see you, Mom and Dad, I'm leaving, and so I finally got to do it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So we also, do you still have, at one point you had vintage Jeeps that you worked on. Do you still do that?
Well, that poor thing was
Died?
It was Hawkeye. It got stolen right out of my driveway. It was black and yellow, Hawkeye black and yellow with a Hawkeye sticker on the
that's
back.
good for it to go then, probably.
Oh, yeah. I think somebody wanted it at least. If it was Nebraska, it'd still be sitting there.
All right.
I'm kidding. No, see, we rub each other. It's all love. The Nebraska fans were so nice to me when I went to the game in Nebraska.
They're good people.
Yeah, I actually made friends with your ex-middle linebacker, Will Compton, and now he plays for the Redskins. But I was in a bar every one of my stories starts I was in a bar. I was in a bar one night after the game, and Will was a fan.
On O Street? Was it?
Yeah, where all the bars are
O
there,
Street.
right? And it was like 3 of us, the only 3 with Hawkeye clothes on in this Nebraska bar. And all these football players start staring at me. I'm like, here it comes. Like, we're going to get our ass kicked because I'm wearing Iowa stuff. And then the guy walks over and he goes, you were on motocross. And I was like, I was, big guy. And then we made friends, and they bought me a drink, and now, awesome. Now we tweet. But I don't know where I was going with that story. I was in a bar.
We started talking about I don't know either. Let's start with that's fine. Actually, now that you said motocross, so we talk adventures here. What other activities do you like to do?
Well, I used to always say just music. That's pretty much what I do. I'm not a thrill seeker. I hate to admit it. Maybe I was a little bit more when I was younger, but now I'm fragile. So I value my body and my career. So I'm not a thrill seeker, and I know it's sexy and dangerous, but I don't like heights and things that go really fast don't excite me. Yeah. I drive like a grandpa. Like, people make fun of me. Like, I'm not in any hurry to get anywhere. You know, like I just I like smoother things. Yeah. You know, like I like music and chilling.
Hiking with your dog. I think we have some nice photos of your dog.
I do like hiking with my dog. That I do. You know what? Thanks for bringing that up. Because now that I have Finn, that is kind of my one activity every day, whether it's a hike or go to the park, or I have like, we were talking about this earlier, I have like dog dad guilt if I am not like getting him out and exercised and everything he deserves. So that has got me doing a lot more things, but it's not really thrilling. Yeah. I take him to the Burbank Equestrian Center. I shouldn't say this because if this gets out, it will be like the new hotspot. It'll be like Runyon Canyon for dogs. But I have a friend, Bjorn. Again, it goes back to the guy who directed my music video. He has a horse at the Burbank Equestrian Center, and so I'll go there, and there's just fields everywhere because it's a big horse complex. And I feel at home there because I grew up on a horse ranch. I love the smell. It just is nostalgic. So I'll take him over there and let him run around in the horse stables, and I'll hang out with Bjorn and his horse. And it's great because they can't really get mad because I got a buddy there. But it's not really legal, I don't think.
Do you still ride?
If I can. If somebody has a horse that will let me ride it, you know. Yeah. I used to know a couple guys that had reining horses at the equestrian center. And one of them was randomly was Kiefer Sutherland's, and one of them was Keanu Reeves, and I would go over there in the mornings and just like ride them and get them a workout. But I haven't done that in a while. It's been time for me. It's like I just don't have time. Like, I love golf. Golf is one of my big hobbies. As anybody that follows me will know, and I'm not great at it, but I love it. And but I don't even have time to do that. Like, I play probably once every 2 weeks, maybe 3, and it's summertime. I should be playing more.
All right, well, they're telling me to wrap in 3 minutes, but I want to make sure, because we had some fans tweet you questions.
Okay.
So let's go to them real quick here.
There's a shot for that.
Yeah. All right.
JJ, did we get to all your questions?
No,
I feel like
but
I talked too much.
No, it's perfect. We could have gone on for it. We could do a 2-hour interview.
Look up fan questions. I got questions.
Okay, go for it, James.
Here's a question.
All right. So you can sing and you can act, but can you dance?
No, I'm a terrible dancer. I've done 2 movies where they tried to make me, and one was the end of New York Minute, and one was the end of a dance movie called Make It Happen. Both times are really embarrassing. What was my first job? I'll tell you that. This is JJ's question. What was my first job? We're going off script here. My very first job was a waiter at Lone Star Steakhouse in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and I was only doing it because my parents said if I wanted to move to New York, I needed to raise money to go there. And I got fired in about a month. Because when the manager called me for a lunch shift, and I was like, yeah, I'm in Amarillo, Texas at a horse thing, like a horse show. And she's like, a what show? I'm at a quarter horse show in Amarillo, Texas. I won't be coming in today. She's like, okay, you're fired.
Nice.
That's the end of that.
Good one. All right, I have one from Cheryl K926. What are your top 3 favorite characters that you've played on TV or film?
Oh man, I can't even sum that up in 3 minutes. Johnny Clay from radio, because that was one of my first big breaks, and I learned so much from it. And Kyle Singer from 24, because again, I was on a really great show at the time, and it was a good complex character at the time. And Frank Sullivan has to be number 1 by far. I loved Frank Sullivan on Frequency. He was awesome. I miss him.
Here's one which I know. Catherine Hegarty, sorry. Did you enjoy mentoring the children in Cedar Rapids? Would you like to teach? Yeah.
I did, yes. For those of you who are like, what's he doing mentoring children? There's an Eastern Iowa Arts Academy in my hometown of Cedar Rapids. It's a nonprofit for kids to go after school to learn music. And it's an amazing thing. And I got to go back for a week and work with them firsthand. And I love it. It's my charity.
Very cool. Okay, last one from Rena Steph Dorfman. Now that the music career is rising, will you put acting on hold?
No, absolutely not. In fact, I'm reading scripts right now for my next show or movie. One thing about me is I like to stay busy, but I love acting. I really do, and I feel like I want to do it the rest of my life. So I'm looking for a script. This music thing is awesome, and it's going to continue to go. But I have to get that other part of me out, you know. So I'm ready to act right now.
All right, I love that you can have both. You know, you can.
People always ask me which one. I did both on Nashville, you know, and I'm always going to do both. I have for 20 years. So, at whatever capacity that is, I'll let everything else decide. But I'm just going to keep creating. That's my thing.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Each week, real quick, we do a TomGirl of the week. So we'll get to that real quickly here. So we have 2 this week. They are Charlize Theron for Atomic Blonde and Julia Michaels for her song So the reason why is Charlize does all her own stunts, and that's pretty badass here for at TomGirl. So we love that. And then Julia Michaels before used to just write songs for other people, and so it's fun to see her now with this song and Issues and her other songs that she's doing to really step out on her own and do her own stuff.
Iowa girl.
Is she?
Just saying.
I didn't know that.
Just saying.
Oh, you guys should do a song together.
We have a mutual friend, which is how I found out she's from Iowa. So, yeah, it's on the list.
All right, I want to see that. Okay, that leads me to another question I had for you. I know we're at a wrap up, but if you could collaborate with any artist, anyone. Oh, I have one more question. I lied. Sorry, James.
Okay.
Who would it be?
Well, I would love to do a duet with Garth or George Strait. I love those two dearly as country artists. And then everyone thinks I'm crazy, but I love this band called Empire of the Sun. They're an electro pop band. They have a song called Walking on a Dream, and I love them. And there's the lead singer, writer of the band. His name's Luke Steele, and I would love to work with him.
Okay. And like your character Frank, if you could talk to anyone on a radio, alive or dead, anyone, who would it be?
My grandpa. Yeah, he was my best friend. Yeah.
All right. It's a great one to end on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have to tell everybody where they can get your album, where they can buy it, find it, listen to it, and about your show on Friday.
My show this Friday is the album release show. It's in LA at the Hotel Cafe at 10 p.m. The album is, I guess, everywhere right now. iTunes, Amazon, Spotify. So, yeah, I think it should be worldwide at this point.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. I
Thank
really
you for
appreciate
having
it
me.
again.
I'm glad we made it work.
Yeah, me
Love
too.
it. Love
Timing ended up being perfect.
Yes, it did. It did. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I appreciate you listening.
All right, we'll see you next week, guys. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.